I think it was sometime maybe like in maybe April last year, maybe like April or something.
Yeah.
It was sort of once we got a confirmation that, well, we had already talked to Melissa and Natalie from LeakyCon about doing it, like a long time ago. Pretty much after we did the second show, we talked to her about the possibility of doing a third show at the LeakyCon.
Wasn't there a year where we did the sequel and then we didn't do anything at LeakyCon or like did a concert? I think we talked that year. Did we talk that year about trying to do it?
Yes,
at LeakyCon?
yes. Yeah.
I think we tried to, but it fell through because we couldn't get Darren, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Darren was doing the Glee tour the summer before this summer. But this summer, this summer he wasn't doing Glee tour, but he was
we still only got him for a day, but at least he was there for that one day.
Yeah, but he did, have a preparation time to where he was pretty familiar with the script by the time he got there. He basically knew all of his lines pretty much. But yeah, around April, we knew that we were going to do it. I think our main concern was making sure Darren could be there for it. And then once he said, all right, guys, I can do it, then we said, all right, now we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be just a really boring stage reading, like there were just going to be tables and everyone was going to sit down and look at the script and read it. And that's all it was. That's all we promised Melissa and Ellie and the people at LeakyCon. Because we said if worst comes to worst, we can at least do that. But then we were like, that would be really lame if the third play was just that. So the closer we got to the actual date of the performance, the more and more we tried to make it like a real show. So we tried to make it, because we knew we were never going to get everybody back together again. So we tried to do it as close to a real show as possible. I mean, so we tried.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to some of the cast members who, were, as you said, under the impression that it was going to be more of a reading, and they have given the impression that you guys kind of privately you guys sort of privately knew that it was always going to escalate. Is that true?
Well, we didn't 100% know. It was a gradual process,
I guess we don't keep people up to speed. Like, we'll make decisions and not tell anybody. So I guess that there were people that showed up and were probably surprised by that there were costumes and stuff.
But we let people know to try and be as memorized as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people knew to the extent that we were hoping to do it. And we didn't even get to use all of the stuff that we'd made for it.
I made a ton of props that during the show just forgot to hand to people. So there were a lot of props backstage that just never got used.
Yeah. So I think that people didn't know exactly what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to scare people,
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing,
All of these plays are months and months of work from us, and then, for a regular play, it'll be like months for us, and then we'll bring in the people that are actually in the cast for maybe a month before the show. But it takes about maybe like 4 months to conceptualize, write something, if we
I'd
have
say
like
longer.
it's like longer, but once we actually decide to write a script, because usually we only write a script once we've talked about an idea for years at least. So I think it takes many months for us, and
I
then
guess let's talk about this play specifically. I'd say to really flesh out the full idea of the show, it took about maybe a year and a half. And then it took many months of writing. Then we were making props for like 2 weeks, right?
yeah, a couple weeks. Pretty much a lot of people didn't really know because we hadn't told people exactly what to do, or that we were planning to make it as complicated as it ended up being. So people didn't know to help us at first. So a lot of people we just didn't talk to, and they just weren't around, and people had vacations planned and things like that. So for a while it was me and Matt and Brian. Then Brian had to go away on a trip for a week, and then it was me and Matt working on stuff. And then eventually people started to notice that we had been working for many weeks, and they said, "Oh, can we help you guys?" I think we had asked some people to help, and they said no. But then eventually they said yes.
Didn't June,
Yeah,
who does costumes?
originally we were just going to do all the costumes ourselves because we
Yeah.
were like, we don't want it to be that in depth. But then as we were working, we were like, this is actually getting really in depth. And then June called us and said, "Hey, I heard you guys were working on this. Do you want me to help you guys?" And we said, "Yes, please, thank you." And maybe that was like two weeks before the show.
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It was a lot of stuff to do in those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a lot of the cast, they just got there, like
2 days before the
2
show.
days before? Yeah.
Yeah. We always liked the story, so for the third one, we thought it was a nice way to end it, and it was really just we made up. The first thing that got made up was pretty much the end of the show where Harry is in Godric's Hollow, and then Ron comes to him and tries to give him his tie back, and Harry at first doesn't want to go back, but then he has a resurrection stone, sees all these ghosts, and then he reprised going back to Hogwarts. And we thought, because going back to Hogwarts is something that we've heard it like a million times. You know, we've heard that song so many times, we're like sick of it.
Yeah.
And we have been talking about all this Harry Potter stuff for so long. Like, man, Harry Potter is old. We are like sick of talking about Harry Potter. But still, people were asking for the third show, sort of incessantly.
So the idea was to make a third show that would be like, let's have a final celebration of Harry Potter and say bye to it, as opposed to us just going, we're all sick of it, and for it to just peter out.
Yeah.
I like that what our idea was to make a third show where when you heard going back to Hogwarts again, you went, "Oh, cool. I remember liking this song, even though I've been hearing it for 4 years." So we thought it would be a good way to say goodbye to the musicals.
Yeah, and it was also, Darren is basically harder and harder to get as time goes by. You know, he's just so busy. You know, he doesn't have time for us. We're nobodies. You know, so we knew that at this point, if we weren't going to do it at that LeakyCon, it was never going to happen. So we were like, let's just do it.
Yeah. And
sorry, go on.
Oh, I was going to say in terms of how did we feel when we said we were going to do it, I'd say, I don't know. We never really get the full, like, realization of how difficult something's going to be or how much work something's going to be when we first set out to do it, especially in this particular project, because when we first committed to it, it was just write the script. Then it snowballed into a bigger and bigger show. So I'd say there wasn't any real one point where we were like, oh, this is going to be really, really, really hard. So, right?
It felt okay. It felt good, I guess. We were excited to do the show because we've been talking about it for a long time.
I think we wouldn't have done it without Darren, just because, I think we even tried to get Bonnie back, but she didn't want to do it. So, I wouldn't have ever done the show with 2 out of the 3 kids as new people.
And I think Harry in particular, I think just Harry and Ron are the 2 irreplaceable people in the cast. To where if you just, because they really, the 3 main kids are Harry, Ron, and Hermione, but in our shows we more so focus on Harry and Ron and their friendship. So we just felt like if you did it with a different Harry or a different Ron, it would just feel really cheap. Like if you see any sequels that recast people, it just doesn't feel the same. It just feels like a cheap quill. And we didn't want this one to feel like that. So we probably wouldn't have done it if we didn't have Darren.
Yeah, if we couldn't get most of the people back, we weren't going to do it because we'd rather something not exist than it to be incredibly, incredibly weird.
Yeah, but yeah, we tried hard to get Bonnie back. It just wasn't going to work out.
I think this play has a certain amount of weirdness in that it's in that weird space. There's no lighting changes. People are holding scripts. It's really, really, really weird. But I think that it's a weirdness you can ignore, whereas if you replace Darren, it's not really a weirdness you can forgive or ignore.
Yeah, I get that.
I think there's a difference in our minds, it's like we don't really look at our shows as really so much.
It's really hard for us to connect the two. It's like they're completely different in our minds. I know when we started the first show, a lot of it was really poking fun at Harry Potter, and as much as we loved it, we were like, let's just tear into book 7. Let's tear into all these ideas and really make fun of them. I'd say, if anything, the musicals have made me appreciate the books more. So, again, what Nick was saying is it's weird for us to really relate the musicals to the books.
I don't think that the musicals have really touched on our opinion of the books. It's like when I say we were sick of like going back to Hogwarts, I was more so saying like of our show. It's like we're not sick of Harry Potter. Those books are good. So I think
it's like for us, we have seen the shows probably hundreds of times more than anybody else because we have to edit them. So it's just like, holy cow, how many times can we watch the same show, the same jokes?
Yeah. But I think more so going back to what I was saying with being sick of something, it was really us trying to, with this show, come back and say, even if we're a little bit sick of going back to Hogwarts and we might like think it's corny or like worn out or something, there is something that's cool about it. And through this show, we were trying to recapture that cool feeling for ourselves.
Yeah, and the whole show is sort of autobiographical to where everyone in the show is sick of Harry Potter. It's like we did that on purpose because we're kind of feeling our shows are tired. Let's just have the characters say that they're tired of all these jokes.
Yeah. I think sometimes people are confuse our intention a little bit, to where we are less talking about Darren and more about the like I've
I
seen.
think this was made up before Darren was on Glee.
Yeah, because this is what I'm saying. You said that this concept existed before he was on Glee, so this is like...
It's like, I talk to Darren a couple times a year, so he's not on my mind. I don't write stuff for him. So it's like, I don't think about how Darren really plays into my life too much, except the idea that as we get older, like, we have to say goodbye to the close friendship that we had, like Harry has to say goodbye to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So, it's like, me and Darren are never going to be as close of friends as we were in college, because we're on different paths. And that, to me, if I'm thinking of Darren at all, it's more, as a member of this group of college friends that are now going their separate ways or tugged in different directions by their careers and their what they choose to pursue.
Yeah.
So,
I think
we weren't just thinking about Darren.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
No,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was just an interesting parallel, because as I said, you said that this concept existed before that, and that it's just, wondered how, if, once things started to change, whether that, basically, affected the, the story, if there was anything that you had to kind of, or even, like, I know you guys avoid making obvious jokes as well, so was that something that you have sort of tried to, work on?
Yeah, there are some Glee jokes in the show, but mainly they're jokes that got added in by other people. Like, there's a lot of AJ Holmes some songs that really poke at Darren with Glee. And we were like, hey, that's funny. Good job, AJ. You got him.
Sure, put it in there.
Sure, yeah.
I'd say that, Darren being on Glee is very different from Harry in the show, because Darren is sort of at the height of his career at the moment, and this Harry's at the lowest point of his career, and everybody hates him. So I have people been seeing some.
I think that a lot of people watching the show have felt that it's like very Darren centric and very like autobiographical, in the sense that everyone is saying goodbye to Darren. But I think that was less intentional than people are thinking. It was more so saying goodbye.
The show's very Harry central.
Yeah,
Darren's not even in the show. It's about Harry.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah. We were trying to talk about.
We already said goodbye to Darren.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
So
we were more trying to talk about the Harry Potter franchise as it is viewed by the world, with people sort of moving on to things like Twilight or Hunger Games or whatever they like,
or whatever comes next.
And so all of that stuff was more sort of about people. Harry's sort of representative of many different things rolled into one, but mainly I think the Harry Potter franchise in general, and having to let that go. Like Voldemort even talks about it in the end, saying you just have to let Harry Potter go eventually. So I think I don't think that the Darren being on Glee stuff really changed it. If anything, it just added to some gags in songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd just say...
And it just sort of, it's not just Darren. Like, the show was obviously hard to get everyone together for a certain amount of time,
lot of people
are
very busy.
Yeah, it's like we've got some StarKid's are in New York doing Broadway,
shows.
off-Broadway shows. We've got people in Hollywood. It's like Darren's not even the only StarKid on Glee now. It's like, well, I guess Joey was in that one episode. But I guess he hasn't been in any more since then. I'm not sure. We knew it was going to tug at the heartstrings, but I think that it's an important thing to be talking about. It's a important thing. It's a life lesson that I think can apply to many things. Sort of this accept what comes and let go of things that are done and moving on with your life and not getting stuck on things I think that we knew that it was going to be a main talking point of the world nowadays. Like, really, that's all there is to talk about now with Harry Potter. Of saying,
being
I
okay
guess
with the fact that it's done. And it's weird, it's weird thinking about future generations because nobody that comes after us will know a time when the Harry Potter books weren't done yet.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. It's like, no, and it just makes you wonder if anyone is ever going to sort of care in the same way. Like, I'm sure that it will go on and people with the story, like, there are old, many things that I've read that, are old and I care about them, people died before I was born, but yeah, to not have it finished, like to have that thing of not having it finished is just, I don't think anything will ever happen like that again.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's like, it's like the thing about the last book, the 7th Harry Potter book, is that it just kills everyone, and then it's boom, over, and you go, and it doesn't give you any time to really say goodbye to it, so for us, making the first musical was supposed to be us making peace with the end of the Harry Potter franchise. We said, let's just make a musical, there we go. And then we ended up doing the second one. Then the third one was our final, just, okay, let's say goodbye to the Harry Potter franchise and the musicals. And I'd say the shows are a love letter to the Harry Potter franchise, not to Darren.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I wasn't trying to imply that whatsoever.
I just thought of that line a minute ago. I should say that.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It was probably one of the worst weekends of our life. It was so stressful. It was just a lot of work,
just such an absurd amount of work with not enough time.
It was always like a process of trying to get as much time as we could while also trying to keep our commitments to the convention, to where we had other things to do in the weekend, like people had to go to signings or go to different events, and we were always trying to get people to not go to events so that they could rehearse. I think that we were just very stressed. The actual show itself was like an emotional roller coaster because it was so long, and in the middle of the actual live show, it was pretty drudging. And there was a point
really slow.
There was a point where the audience stopped laughing. I think it had to do with that they were tired, but also they weren't really liking the stuff that was happening on stage. Mainly around the Tom Riddle going home scene.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. It was the thing about that scene, and I mean, I wanted to ask you about it. It's not that it was bad, it's just that it was fucked up. It was really heavy, like probably the heaviest thing that I've seen in any of your shows. It was really dark, like really, really dark.
That's weird.
that's
we
what
were rehearsing
other
it.
people
We
did.
thought it was funny.
We thought it when we wrote that scene and when we were rehearsing that scene. We said this is the funniest scene in any of the shows,
and we went ha and laughed at everything that was mean because we thought it was funny to make his family as awful as he possibly could.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, I mean, it's comedy, it's black comedy, but it came across so dark, and I don't know if it was just probably Chris Allen being like a genius. His portrayal of the son of the dad was really like, you just like it was just so symbolic of like homophobic redneck America, which obviously is the point, but it was so well done that it made it really messed up. And I remember watching it and just being like yeah, I wasn't laughing because I was shocked. Like, it was so intense.
Oh, wow. Well,
so I'm surprised that wasn't the intention, but yeah.
No, we thought it was funny.
We all thought it was funny. Everybody in the cast thought it was really funny. Like, Joe Walker was really excited for that scene. We all were like, this scene's gonna be really funny. There's a grandpa that poos his pants. There's like
people yell and get angry and blame all the problems on Voldemort. It's got some gags in it. We said, there's nothing wrong with this.
We said, show me Hogwarts on a map of the United States of America. That's a really funny joke.
It is.
And so we were just baffled when people weren't laughing at that scene. And we were like, wow, this really is not playing well. And me and Matt actually went backstage and we said, this is the biggest disaster of our lives. This show is turning out awfully. And we thought it was, for a while there thought it was really bad. Going really, really bad.
But then Act 2 happened and we said, okay, it was fine.
It was fine. But then for a while we were like, did the show turn out bad? Did it turn out good? We don't know. And that sort of...
We didn't want to put it on YouTube for a long time.
Because...
Yeah.
I did.
I spoke to you right after the show, Matt, and you said, I don't think we're going to put it online. And I was like, I think that you probably have to put it online. But I know that you guys were... Yeah, not the happiest straight afterwards.
Yeah.
It took a lot of... It took a lot of editing.
It was like, we had to edit a lot of it. And it was just like disappointment after disappointment. Like, there were supposed to actually be lighting cues where the scenes were actually supposed to have lights, lighting, lights down, lights up, and stuff like that. But just the union person that was in charge of the lighting board didn't press the button ever. So, we just, all the lighting cues that we programmed were just not in it.
And then just we got the audio, and you know how every single person in the show has a microphone. We had like 32 microphones, like wireless mics in the show, and it cost us quite a bit of money to be able to use those mics, just to pay a fee for the union to let us use those microphones. It was ridiculous. And then we got the sound that we recorded, and just by freak accident, Darren's microphone did not record. So, and only his, out of all the mics that we recorded, only Darren's didn't record. So we were like, we lost Darren's audio. We don't have it. And so that was all contributing to our sense of doom about the show, saying, this really is not going to work. And
so then it was just a long editing process.
And Mark Swiderski, who did all the sound editing for the show, I think he really pulled through in the end, because it's not that bad when you watch it.
Yeah, how did you pull the audio for Darren?
There were other microphones around the stage picking up.
Oh, okay.
Like at the front of the stage, so Mark was able to mix it to where.
Yeah.
So like to pull the tracks off the other.
Yeah, it's.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's basically whenever Darren talks, it's a microphone that's recording all the sound that you could hear in the auditorium at the actual time. Whenever anybody else is talking, all the other sound is turned off. So you can't hear things like people whispering backstage or toilets flushing and stuff like that, which you can hear on Darren's audio. I'd say the script was done maybe a month or two before the show, maybe like 2 months before the show. So we sent it out with everyone's parts to them so that they had enough time to read the script, become familiar, and get memorized if possible. You know, like Joey was pretty much memorized for the show.
Yeah.
I'd say it was a back and forth in terms of casting. When we originally decided to do the show, there were certain casting choices that we said, yeah, we want AJ to be Gilderoy. And we always knew that. We said, yeah, Tyler's got to be McGonagall. And then come back as Cedric. So there were all these ideas that we had. But then we just decided, wouldn't it be nice to, you know, it would seem weird to invite certain people back, but others.
Yeah.
So we just said, well, let's just invite everyone, and everyone who can come, we'll give them a part and put them in the show. So, yeah, we invited everybody. Then everybody said, yeah, I can come, or a couple of people said, no, we can't come. And then once we had the list of people who were coming, we said, okay, and passed out parts, basically.
Was there anyone that you hadn't, obviously some of the people you haven't worked with in quite a while, was there anyone that got there and you were like, I've really missed working with you, or who surprised you, or like, you know, something like that you'd like to sort of bring back into a show maybe?
Well, really, the big one is AJ. So with AJ,
he was gone for a year.
Yeah, he was doing
Young Frankenstein for a year. So we hadn't worked with AJ, so that was nice. With AJ.
Once we had him writing music, which was cool because he we always sort of thought that AJ would be the best Gilderoy. Out of anyone that we knew, we were like, AJ's got to be Gilderoy. He's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And we had him writing the songs for it, which was cool because he was the other half of the writing team for the first show. So it was cool for him to write songs in this one. And then pretty much in doing this show, we were like, yeah, AJ's really good and we really like him. So we're actually, he's a big part of the new show that we're working on, Twisted. So
Yeah.
Who else do we like? I like Tyler.
We love Tyler.
He's always a delight.
He always knocks it out of the park.
He was
We love Tyler.
Whatever you give him, he goes, okay, sure.
Yeah. Brittany Coleman.
Yeah, Brittany Coleman.
Brittany.
She's really good.
And Allie Faye Monka. I love Allie Faye.
It was weird bringing some people back. Like, it was just like I can't believe you're here. Like, it was weird having Alona back because
we haven't seen you in like 5 years.
We hadn't seen Alona in like 4 years. So it was just like, sure, yeah. And it was fun having her there. It was really nice.
Yeah, a lot of people are just really really nice to have around.
Yeah, it was just fun to get everybody back that we hadn't worked with in several years. It was fun to get Richard back.
Yeah,
Richard Campbell. Cool. He's really great. It was fun to get Corey Doris back.
Corey's cool. It's fun to get Sango back.
Sango's
cool.
Yeah. Ariel Goldman was fun to have back.
Yeah, she was fun to have back. Yeah.
It was just fun to get everyone back.
I think together.
We said everybody. Favorite moment? It was probably, once it was done.
Yeah, I can't think of a better moment.
Once the show was done, it was like, what a relief. And also because the end of the show turned out well, to where by the end of the show everyone was crying. So I think that was nice.
Yeah. Leaving the hotel once everything was packed up was a nice feeling. Just done. I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
That was a nice feeling. So, yeah, it's like projects aren't fun to do. They're fun to have done. I think that my favorite part is when Darren sees the Potter Stinks buttons, and he's supposed to say, where'd you get this button? But he says, who made that pen? And that's how he says it. And why'd he say it like that? We just thought it was really funny that he made a stupid face and a stupid voice just for that one line.
Yeah.
So, we don't know why he did it, but
Yeah.
we said
So
that's the best part of the show.
I really liked that. I like it when AJ does the Gilderoy Mouse Prince monologue. I think that's good.
I really like Gilderoy. I like Chris.
Yeah,
all
when
his
Chris
parts.
is moaning Myrtle, it's
I
really
like that.
funny. And then I do like the end part when when Ron goes to Harry and tries to give him his tie back, and Harry at first says no, but then I like that whole part. I think that's really cute and nice and beautiful. It was a weird process getting the songs, because, again, it originally started out with us thinking, maybe we'll have one or two songs. And we wrote to Clark and AJ saying, hey, can you guys write some songs for this? And Clark started just writing a lot of songs really fast. We wrote the possible places that songs could be, and pretty much we got much all of them, because Clark and Pierce wrote
a lot of them, and they were really fast.
They wrote like 6 songs for the show.
Yeah, so
they were real fast, and
that was a situation where we only asked for a few things and didn't know it was going to be an all-out musical. And then it gradually became one. I don't know. What do you think's your favorite song?
I think that it's tough to say. I like a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
I think Gilderoy, the Wizard of the Year song, the Gilderoy song is really good.
Yeah, I like that song. I think that might be my favorite.
That one's really good, and I like different ones for different reasons. I really like the Sidekick song, the I'm Just a Sidekick that Ron sings, that Clark and Pierce wrote. And this Everything Ends is a really hauntingly beautiful song.
I like the I Was Harry Potter song.
I Was Harry Potter is a great song. That's a fun one because that, many years ago, I lived with Darren for a summer. And Darren, basically, I started telling him about our ideas for the Harry Potter musical, the musical about Harry Potter. This was a year before we actually did it. And Darren started saying, like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. I was thinking about writing 2 Harry Potter themed songs. And he wanted to write one where Harry Potter was just like a metaphor in the songs that he was writing. And one was a song called Going Back to Hogwarts that was about, going back to your childhood and going back to your friends and stuff like that. And then he was like, and then I want to write a song called I Was Harry Potter, where it's about you losing everything and about how you used to be a cool guy and now you're a loser. And so those were his 2 ideas for Harry Potter themed songs. And then when we were doing the first one, we were like, hey, let's use your idea for that song Going Back to Hogwarts, and that'll be the beginning of the show. And he was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then in this one, we were like, let's use the I Was Harry Potter idea. And, this was also when we made up the show, like right after the sequel was done, we assumed that Darren would be writing music for it, but he ended up not being able to.
Their stories mirror each other in that they were both going to become disenchanted with Hogwarts and the world in general, to the point where at the end of the act they would be on stage together and have a duet with each other. So
Yeah.
that was sort of, and then in Act 2, Voldemort was always meant to just be an antagonist, not really to do much, just be something for Harry to be. But his main part was just to kind of mirror Harry's story. So yeah, he always was in there, and then for a brief period we tried to cut him out because we thought we were like, is it too similar to the first play? Does it ruin the first play? But then we eventually decided to put him back in and just keep it the way we originally made it up as.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was always in there. I don't know. I've got a lot of blocks up in my mind, and usually stress blocks things out. So I don't know. We don't have Twitter, or I never check Facebook or the internet really. So that whole side of dealing with people online, I don't really do, just because I've never checked email or the internet really. So I'm just not good at it. Yeah, I'd say, when we're actually at places, it's, you just meet people and say, oh, hello, and just say, oh, thank you. Nice to meet people. And, I guess I don't think about it too much. What do you think?
We more so are just glad that people like the work.
Yeah.
That's our main concern is mainly the shows.
Always what's the next show, which is why we don't do tours. Like, anything that's just the old stuff again, it's like there's really no point for us to work on it. So
yeah,
we're always just concerned with what's going to be the next show.
So when I meet people who like the shows, I'm just glad that they like the show, and we'll continue to try our best to make shows that people like.
Yeah.